I am thrilled to introduce Mrs. Rukiye Turdush. She is a human rights activist, author, and researcher at the Center for East Turkistan National Interest. Her research interests include genocide study, self-determination in international law, and Chinese colonialism in East Turkestan. Today, she will talk to us on understanding East Turkestan's right to sovereignty through legal and historical perspective. Thank you.
Hello everyone. We know, and it's evident that every Uyghur and other Turkic Muslims are suffering under China's ongoing genocide today. And 2 to 3 million Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims were incarcerated in Chinese concentration camps since 2017. Many of them were tortured and killed. Many of them were sent to forced labor camps, and many of them were sent to long-term imprisonment. Now, even though some of them were released, those who were released not able to live as a normal person, a normal life, because they were physically and mentally harmed, very badly harmed. And according to leaky documents, the Xinjiang paper and Dr. Adrian Zender's research, there are 3 million Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims forcibly transferred to forced labor camps since 2017. And 900,000 Uyghur kids were removed from their home, from their parents, from their siblings, and from their origin, culture, and their religion. Every Uyghur woman becomes strict target of China's either IUD insertion or sterilization policy. Because of that, Uyghur population is drastically declining since 2017 and continuously declining right now. All of this China doing intentionally, unwillingly, and unknowingly, despite that they have caused fatal consequences against the Uyghur population and other Turkic Muslims in East Turkestan. All of this because of China's colonialism. All of this happening just because of China's colonialism. I can repeat that again. It is because of China's colonialism. But international world community follow China's distorted history and reject the East Turkestan's real name, reject the East Turkestanian people's real identity, and see China's illegal occupation as illegal since 1949. So I want to talk about today what was the actual status of East Turkestan, why it should be recognized by the international community as an illegally occupied nation, why East Turkestanian people must restore their sovereignty, and how it related to global security. So East Turkestan's actual status should be recognized as an illegally occupied nation. And its national aspiration to restore its sovereignty could be justified based upon its colonial history and under international law. If we look at its colonial history, China always said East Turkestan is an inseparable part of China since Han Dynasty. It's true that China established few garrisons in East Turkestan's southern Tarim Basin, actually eastern part of the southern Tarim Basin in 60 BCE, but that does not mean that they have controlled the entire East Turkestan. many Central Asian historians, actually including James Lilward, they agreed that China's control of small portion of Turpan city of today at that time, 125 years, it does not mean or has little to do with the city-states in entire East Turkestan. So China has no historical basis for their assertion, and I don't want to go very detailed for the history, but I want to go briefly the timelines of the East Turkestan's history and who ruled East Turkestan since history. If we look at the Uyghur Khoikhur Kingdom was established in 844 to 1370 in the northeast of East Turkestan, and Karapanid dynasty in 840s to 1212 in the west, and all of them were established by the Uyghurs' ancestors. It has nothing to do with today's PRC or ethnic Han Chinese. And the Chagatai Khanate between 1220 to 1405, Chagatai was the second son of Chinggis Khan, and his descendants were Turkicized and accepted Islam, converted to Islam, and accept the old Uyghur culture at that time. So it has nothing to do again with the Han China or ethnic Han Chinese or today's PRC, People's Republic of China. And the Yarkan Khanate was a Sunni Muslim Turkic state ruled by Turco-Mongol descendants of Chagatai Khan again. The state of Kashgaria also between 1865 to 1876, also a Turkic state, governed by the ancestors of modern Uyghurs. And Manchus invaded the state of Kashgaria in 1877. After 8 years of bloody war, they conquered East Turkestan and changed the name to Xinjiang, which means colony. If you look at the Manchus dictionary at that time, the Xinjiang was translated to colony in English. So Manchu has nothing to do with China or today's PRC as well, because Manchu was referred to today's Manchuria. The Manchu Empire actually seized the Ming Dynasty's capital city in 1644, and it was more than 200 years before then that they conquered East Turkestan. And if you look at this, it has nothing to do with East Turkestan, Tibet, and Mongolia at that time. The Mongol Khanate that referred to Chagatai Khan at that time. So the Manchus referred the Ming Dynasty's territory as China, and referred Han Chinese people in Ming territory as the Chinese. So China has no legal basis of, historical basis to claim over East Turkestan's territory. If we look at this map here, that was from the National Geography. It was published in 1922. We can see that at the time Manchu was collapsed in 1911 to 1912, and the East Turkestanian people defeated Manchu Empire, established, that was in 1922, they were fighting with the warlords over there, and that time, after that, they established in 1933 and 1944 twice independent East Turkestan Republic in the region. At that time, when the Manchus fall, the Chinese nationals and Chinese communists emerged, but it's in the China's territory. It has nothing to do with the East Turkestan's territory. If you look at another map here, this map was published. This map was published by the North China Herald, October 19 and 1932, just 1 year before that we established East Turkestan Independent Republic in 1933, First Republic. This one showing the communist space and the national space and the Chinese territory. It was not included East Turkestan, Tibet, Mongolia. It was not included East Turkestan. So China's, this territory is their basis at that time. And if we look for another map here, this was published in American magazine, China Today, in 1934, just 1 year after the first East Turkestan Republic's establishment. And it's showing the national Chinese base there, that national Chinese was recognized by internationally at that time, the communist base too, they're claiming, but if we look at East Turkestan's territory, it was very similar to Outer Mongolia's territory It's nothing to do with the Han Chinese or PRC or nationalist account. And if you look at another map, more clear, it was published in 1930s for the Japan, I think, yeah, it's from Japan. So they show the rulers of nationalist government, nominally ruling over entire China. They say that's entire China inside the red line, and it's not included East Turkestan, Mongolia, and the Tibet, so we have nothing to do with the Chinese nationalist account. So China's claim over East Turkestan historically no basis. They don't have legal basis to claim East Turkestan's territory as well, over East Turkestan's territory. So I want to defend, I would like to explain my legal defense over East Turkestan's sovereignty, for East Turkestan's sovereignty, for the following points. First of all, China's assertion of territorial rights over East Turkestan does not align with UT Pusidit's jurist doctrine under international law. According to UT Pusidit's jurist doctrine, after the empire's fall, the newly emerged states can be recognized on the basis of preceding dependent territory or under colonial administrative lines. So after Manchu's fall, there is no mandatory transfer of East Turkestan's territory to the PRC or Kuomintang or Chinese nationalists. There is no mandatory transfer. There is no colonial administrative lines like that British transferred to India at that time. There is no such thing. So China has no legal basis to claim that they are violating the UT Pusidit's jurist doctrine, claiming East Turkestan's sovereign territory. And my second point is China violated state territorial integrity law in Article 2.4 in UN Charter. This charter specifically emphasizes prohibition of use military forces, and China used the military forces, invaded East Turkestan. So this law, this charter is applied to relations between states, and China claimed that East Turkestan was not a state. But if we look at the Montevideo Convention under international law, East Turkestan is perfectly fit to the criteria of the definition of the state. To be state, first A, you have to have permanent population. Yes, East Turkestan Independent Republic had permanent population at that time. They were Uyghur Turks and other Muslim Turks. And then we had only 5.6% Han Chinese at that time. We didn't have any Han Chinese population. B, to be state, you have to have defined a territory. Yes, we had defined a territory, and we are distinct with Gobi Desert and China's Great Wall from China. China came to thousands miles away. They were not there at that time. And third, you should have a government. Yes, East Turkestan Independent Republic had clear government structure. They had presidency system. They had the constitutions. They had issued currencies. They had militaries. They had hospitals, colleges, universities, and they had everything what government should have. They had water system. They had tax policies. They had everything. And to be state, you should have capacity to enter into relations with other states. Yes, East Turkestan Republic at that time had capacity to enter into relations with other states. They already had diplomatic relations with Soviet Union and trade relations also with Soviet Union. So the East Turkestan Republic established before the Chinese invasion was perfectly fit to the criteria of the state definition in international law. And China's PRC, People's Republic, was established in 1949, and 5 years after the establishment of East Turkestan Independent Republic. So I want to add something here to one of the documents here. China propagated that we peacefully liberated East Turkestan from the Manchu Empire.
But that's a total distortion of history. East Turkestani people defeated the Manchuria Empire and in the territory of East Turkestan, established independent East Turkestan Republic, and China did not peacefully liberated them. Actually, China invaded with the Stalinist help, and you can see this telegram right now. We save it in Russia, digital archives in Russian. One of them is Mao sent to Stalin at that time, and he was asking military help to invade East Turkestan. Was written, sent in September in 1949. And that the second one is Stalin's response, and he sent 1,000 tons of airwave defuse and other military aid to Mao Zedong. So he agreed and he said he's going to send. So they never peacefully liberated East Turkestan as they propagate. They completely invaded East Turkestan with the help of Stalin, and Stalin's military aid. And they have killed 150,000 East Turkestan Republic soldiers or resistance fighters between 1949 to 1952. And this information was announced in Urumqi radio in 1952. So China has legal basis at all to peacefully entering East Turkestan, as all of them are distorted propaganda, distorted history and propaganda. And my other point is, China is not represent the people of East Turkestan because they were not elected government. East Turkestanian people never elect the Chinese government, CCP or PRC. They came thousand miles away, from somewhere. So they don't have a right to say we can legally rule this territory. We are representative government. They are there is no that's illegal. They can't represent East Turkestanian people. My fourth point of defending East Turkestan's sovereignty is China implementing genocide in East Turkestan is a serious violation of human security. Many conventional laws and resolutions related to self-determination law in international law closely linked to the Convention and Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. For example, if we look at the Article 1, Paragraph 2 of the UN Charter, proclaims the equal rights of the self-determination as follows. Quote, I will read it. To develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and the self-determination of peoples, and to take other appropriate measures to strengthen universal peace. So that means to guarantee the peace, to strengthen the universal peace, people should have a right to self-determination. But people of East Turkestan does not have any kind of rights, let alone the external self-determination or sovereignty. They don't have internal self-determination. Chinese government never kept its promise in their constitution, never implemented autonomy law, and they are implementing genocide right now. So we're going to say that when you cannot guarantee any kind of rights inside and you're facing genocide, facing disappear from this world, how could you live together with the perpetrator? It's impossible. That's why I want to also talk about that if we want to promote independence and the sovereignty for East Turkestan, at the same time, how it's related to global security. I want to say several points about that. First, what would happen to the world if China's genocide in East Turkestan continues and China's colonialism accepted by the world as China's internal affairs? Answer is very simple. International law, human rights will be nothing. Peace, world security, democratic world value will mean nothing. Besides, not supporting East Turkestan's sovereignty is legitimizing China's genocide. Why? Because allowing perpetrators legally rule the victim population is ridiculous. Today, China's genocide is not about only China, it's a world genocide. Business entities and the many other governments, they complicit with China's genocide for their short-term benefit. So this will, in this way, degrading democratic values and reinforce China's capacity to and the intent to reshape the international world order based on Tianxia ideology. And that will be a disaster. We also know that impact of China's ongoing genocide today is far beyond within the territory of East Turkestan. And they want to expand through East Turkestan with their BRI plan because 3 of the road and the belts through East Turkestan to Central Asia, Middle East, Africa, and the Europe. So they want to control the world, expand to the west through East Turkestan, while Western countries busy with Russia, busy with the Indo-Pacific or Middle East. If international community continuously follow China's distorted history about East Turkestan and treated Uyghurs as a minority within the post-colonial Chinese nation state, China will continuously refute and the pressure against the China's genocide as a violation of China's one of the principles, which of their 5 principles say that not interfering internal affairs. Actually, that 5 principles are their basis for their so-called New World Order. So that's going to be dangerous too. Actually, I would like to show one video, but I think we don't have enough time, so I don't want to show that video, that how China refuting whenever the Western countries or other countries pressure against the genocide, China said, oh, this is our internal affairs. So I want to recommend 2 things here. First, according to responsibility to protect, necessary actions against the genocide may only be taken with the permission of UN Security Council. However, China is one of the major powers at the UN Security Council, while China openly violating the UN Genocide Convention. The world standing by and allowing China maintain its veto power. It's ridiculous and unacceptable. China's veto power should be abolished. My second recommendation is world community should criticize China's neo-fascist colonialism by exemplifying its colonialism in East Turkestan, as Dr. Charles Burton mentioned in his speech, and reject China's illegal governance in East Turkestan as a solution to stop this genocide. Thank you very much, and I will look forward to your questions at the panel discussion.